guys, Erito here, and welcome to another iRacing video. And in fact, this will be my last for a very long time, possibly, as my subscription is running out very soon. So, this video is gonna be about some nostalgic races, starting with F4 right now. This was the track car combo that I did right when I came out of rookies. And this is where I probably gained the most IR since until recently. Like I peaked at around 2.3k IR, and right now I was at 2.4k as of yesterday. And you'll understand why I say as of yesterday, because today it's different. But yeah, on this track, this is where I pretty much learned sim racing for the most part. And I had a lot of fun driving this combo. Unfortunately, this race that I recorded right now, well, this was actually a couple weeks ago, but I kept it saved for this video. And it didn't have a lot of action, which is surprising for F4 because there's a lot of bandits that like to send it on the inside for no reason or just be overly aggressive. Because they don't care about their safety rating, they can just keep racing this and keep their C class or D class safety rating. And it's a lot of karting kids as well, which is really annoying because they don't know how to race. But that rant aside, we are now done with the first lap and we're gonna skip a bit ahead because the guy ahead has a bit of a slide. They managed to save it, very well done. But now we're gonna take advantage and go on the outside and take the position. However, this is now gonna set up for a bit of a battle. And yeah, I have another 2 races for this video. And the next 2 are not gonna go very well. just giving you a bit of a hint. This one actually went pretty decent for having not driven this car in probably well over a year. I feel like I did decently well. I think I was about a second slower than my best lap around here, even when I was practicing. And on this track, back when I did it the first time, I also saw Oscar Piastri in the lobby. Not in the race lobby, but in the practice lobby. And yes, that Oscar Piastri from Formula 1. And I was only a second slower than him in practice, which made me quite happy, considering I had just started. So it gave a bit of a confidence boost. Sadly, I never got to race him because he was just practicing, he didn't actually join any race. I think this was like 2 years ago. Yeah, it had to be 2 years ago because that was the length of my subscription. So we have this guy behind us. They're gonna get a good amount of slipstream into turn 1. They're gonna go on the inside. And I'm gonna try and set up a switchback. And we're now side by side. Now I'm on the outside, which turns into the inside, and we keep our position for now. I try to go to the middle, see where they go. We decide to sniff on the inside again. but once again it turns into the inside, so we get to keep the position. So you may notice that I'm not wearing my main headset right now, and that's because I actually intended to do this race in VR, but last second I decided I'll do it with triples, because I felt a bit more confident. For some reason there's some specific cars that I do better in VR, and some others that I do better in triples. I don't quite understand the reason, but it is what it is. I felt this was a bit more faithful to how I started iRacing, so it made sense in my head. Now, once again, they don't take my slipstream, which was a bit strange. Maybe they were a bit too close, so they decided to go on the side. But they pull out of it. They saw they weren't gonna get it. Unfortunately, I make a mistake and go a bit too wide and almost lose 2 positions. There's an incident behind. I only just noticed that those 2 crashed. If you saw in the mirrors. But now we have to try not losing our position and try and keep with this guy ahead. I knew he was slightly faster. For some reason this track just feels really nice with these cars. Just flows really well. I'm not sure it's the best track for racing, but for doing laps, I love it. So we're now gonna skip to the last lap, because nothing happened. I built a gap behind, and I somewhat stayed around the same pace behind this guy. And we come home in P4, which I feel is a pretty good result for not having raced these things in a long time. But now, I'm gonna switch gears to the Super Formula at Suzuka, the home of Super Formula. And we get a pretty decent start as the guy right next to us almost spins. Look at this start, really good. But now I'm gonna take it carefully. I just want to survive. I started from the back because I didn't have much practice. And as you can see, we are now in VR. I actually didn't get audio from this recording for some reason. I couldn't find why. So I had to go in the replay and get the audio from there and just synchronize it in video editing. Sadly, here something happens. And as you can imagine, we got hit from behind. We didn't get any damage, thankfully, so we were able to continue. But now I'm very much at the back. Much more than I was at the start. So let's see what happened from their POV. And yeah, they weren't very careful on the first lap. I don't think it was intentional or malicious. Mistakes happened and we move on. They actually didn't end very well because they lost their front wing while I didn't get any damage. And now going into the last lap, because nothing happened. It was basically just a few freebies and some people just letting me pass because I was faster. And we made our way back to P9. But now I'm struggling as I have my rear view mirrors filled with white and blue from the car behind. And you will notice that I also very much timed my overtake very badly. And I almost lose it right there. And I'm terrible at this hairpin. But yeah, my overtake is now running out. And we have a very long straight to the end. So this is not ideal. I actually can't quite see if he has overtake or not. You can see the blinking on the top of his car. But right at the start of the straight, my overtake ran out. And here I brake a bit too early maybe. And they managed to get on the outside. I also locked up. And then they must have thought that they were George Russell and didn't give me any space, put me in the gravel. I'm not very happy. And I end up in P10. But now we have another race, also at Suzuka, and it's very lightly wet. I qualified in P3, but because it's wet and I have no confidence in the wet, and we had to start on slicks because it was drying, I decided to just do a pit start and see if we can just survive from there. You can see everyone's checking up. There's a car off. This guy ahead of me is on wet tires, which are just gonna overheat. There's another freebie. And I'm just being super cautious. And unfortunately, we have a very minor touch there which gives us front wing damage. I did not even feel it in the force feedback at all. So I decided just let's keep going and survive to the end. I didn't care too much about what position I finished. But unfortunately, I lost the rear there. And I just barely tapped the barrier behind me, which will give us, of course, rear wing damage. And now I'm thinking, do I go into the pits and try and get my wings replaced? Unfortunately, that's not how it works apparently, because they did nothing, just put me back out. And I was very confused at this point. I wasn't sure what to do, so I decided just, well, let's just do a lap and see just how bad the car is. And I could tell immediately it did not feel good. It felt super understeery. That's gonna be from the front wing. And then right here I must have been a bit too happy on the throttle. And I lost the rear again. It just snapped on me and into the barrier I go again. This time with much worse damage. I broke the suspension as well. So I decided I'll just cut the rest of the track and go to the pits and retire. So that's how my week has been lately. iRacing has not been kind to me, and I think that's going to be where I end my journey with iRacing, at least for now. Maybe in the future I'll renew my membership, but right now I have LMU, and LMU feels pretty good. It has much better netcode, in my opinion. we'll see going forward what happens. I cannot afford doing any more renewals for the memberships. My LMU membership is also running out, but that one, because I have the base game, I can keep racing. I only lose access to championships, which I don't do anyways. I lose access to practice servers, which honestly, the practice servers in LMU are terrible. They only last a few minutes and you can't get much done. So it's better to just go offline and practice there. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time for an LMU video. Goodbye.